Jim, a 1-0 victory over Strassen in the UEFA Conference League tonight. Just give us your thoughts after a memorable evening at Tannadice.
Well, firstly, we're really pleased to have won the game. A really good quality goal from Zach Sapsford. Done terrific to create the bit of space initially, and then a fantastic strike on target to put us the goal in front. I thought there was elements of the play, particularly in the first half, that was really, really good and really positive. We got into some good areas. Sevilla has a great chance, one-on-one with the keeper. I've got to credit the goalkeeper. I don't think it's a poor miss. I think it's a really good save from the goalie. And we had a couple of other half chances in the first half. Starting as well. Toward the end of the game, had a really good strike tipped onto the post by the goalkeeper. So I think there's definitely elements of it, that we can be pleased with, but I think there's probably more parts of the game that we're disappointed with, that we felt we didn't really do ourselves enough justice in possession. I thought we turned over possession cheaply far too often, which ultimately led to some counter-attack situations for Strassen. I thought we could have, potentially killed the tie off tonight with some of the other chances that we've had. But I've got to credit Strassen as well. We did not underestimate them at all. I know on paper people may have looked at the two leagues, the Scottish Premiership and Luxembourg's Premier League, but we knew they were a good side. Technically they've got some very good players in their group. You can see that they're well coached, very well organised behind the ball. But we just certainly would have liked another one or two goals for the good opportunities that we had.
Still all to play for, as you touched on. So how do we approach that game in Luxembourg next week?
Yeah, well, as I said, we need to do better on the ball. I think we need to work the switch of play a bit better. I think we got into some good areas out wide and probably didn't put enough crosses into the box, which was a big strength of ours last season. So, it's still very, very early for this new group of players. So, of course, everything is not going to just click into place in the space of 4 or 5 weeks. There's a lot there for us to work on. I like the appetite and the energy when we don't have possession. I think you can see the intensity of how we want to press and try and get the ball back as quickly as possible. But I think we let ourselves down on too many occasions with really, cheap turnovers of possession. And that's what we need to get better at if we want to play the way that we want to play.
You touch on pressing intensity there. Zach Sapsford instrumental in that, out with his goal tonight.
Yeah, I thought him, Trapanovsky and Dolcek in the first half were excellent off the ball. Trapanovsky was probably our brightest of the front three in terms of, getting at people, trying to create things. But, they do set the tone at the top end of the pitch, and then it needs to be supported by the midfield and the back line. I think the back three were excellent, given, some of the chances that Strassen had and the bit of pressure they were putting us under in the last 15-20 minutes. I thought the back three stood up to everything that was thrown at them. The clean sheet, of course, that's a positive as well, but it is there's a feeling of a missed opportunity to go and really give ourselves a more comfortable advantage going to Strassen. But look, before the game, this is the position that we wanted to be in. We wanted to win the game, we wanted to keep a clean sheet, and the tie is still very much alive.
A word for the supporters tonight. It was a great atmosphere out there, wasn't it?
The atmosphere was brilliant, yeah, and I think we're all a little bit surprised in terms of how many tickets were snapped up. I'm led to believe there's about 11,500 in here. The noise before the game was brilliant, and they generated a fantastic atmosphere. So yeah, as always, we're very, very grateful to them for that. We know we're going to bring a good travelling support to Luxembourg next week as well, and we're going to need them. So we'll need to dust ourselves down now. Fortunately we don't have the game at the weekend because we've picked up another couple of little knocks there this evening as well. Max Waters, we try and make a positive change to give us a bit of freshness at the top end of the pitch, and he gets a bump on the knee, which hopefully is nothing too serious, hopefully just a bruise, but we need to try and get as many players fit and available as possible going into the game on Thursday to give ourselves the best chance of progressing.
Just finally, tonight was your own European debut, so did it live up to expectations? How much did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the build up to the game. I thought the atmosphere all night was excellent. As I said, right now I'm a little bit disappointed just with how well we've played in pre-season. I thought against St Johnstone we were excellent, the way we moved the ball. Okay, step up in opposition tonight, and you know that's the frustration from our perspective in terms of we didn't do enough on the ball to create more clear-cut opportunities. But look, we're in a good position. Defensively, we'll have to be solid again next week. We keep another clean sheet. We go through. It's as simple as that. But we won't be going over there to defend the lead. You know, we'll be going over there to try and win the game and try and take the game to Strassen again. And hopefully, you know, we'll do a little bit better in those passages of play that we're looking for.